Hey y'all, it's Katie and welcome back to my channel. This is our 5th episode in our DEKA Strategy series, where today we'll look specifically at the tank, Zone 9, and Zone 10, the burpees. Let's go. So we have finally reached the last 2 zones in our DEKA event. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, check out this video for the full overview. Otherwise, let's dive right in. First up is Zone 9, the tank push and pull, and here's the basics you need to know. There are several different tanks that you could use for your DEKA events. The one here that I have is a Torque M4 tank, and females use setting number 2, males use setting number 3, or you might encounter the Zybex tank, where males use setting number 8 and females use setting number 6. Just make sure you adjust the settings on both axles. But either way, you'll complete 100 total meters, alternating 10 meters of pushing and 10 meters of pulling while walking backwards. The back of the tank must pass the line on both ends of the 10-meter mark. You must pull using the handles, and you cannot wrap the handles around the tank arms. So moving on from basics, let's look at how to do the tank. There are so many ways you could decide to push or pull the tank, but here are some of the most common methods I've seen. When it comes to pushing the tank, one of the most common methods is an extended arm push. This is where you keep the elbows extended like an overhead press as you're pushing the tank down the runway. The second method here is the bent arm push. This is where you bring the tank up towards the shoulders and you push with bent arms. Pretty self-explanatory. Another way you could push the tank is by wrapping your arms around the uprights and using your shoulders to push directly into the tank. And the last common method I've seen here is the low bar push, where you simply grab onto the lowest bar on the tank and you push it. But whichever method of pushing you choose, just make sure all the wheels stay in contact with the ground the whole time, because otherwise it might not count for that 10 meters. When it comes to pulling, because you have to use the straps and you're walking backwards, there's not a whole lot of options here. So the 2 main methods I've seen here, number 1, the simple pull. You hold the straps and you walk backwards, just that simple. Number 2 here is one I've seen usually when the lower body starts to fatigue. It's where you have a big upper body row and then you keep walking backwards down the straightaway, getting you a little extra meters with the upper body. And the tank is hard and it's gonna take some time, but one way we might be able to shave a few seconds off is by honing in on those transitions. Giving the tank a big push right at the end and then snap right into the pull as quick as possible. And as you're pulling it to the end, giving it a nice big pull to cross the line so you can start pushing as soon as possible. I recommend using the bent arm push while you're holding those handles so that you can transition into that simple pull really quick. And onto some tank strategy. So obviously practice will help you become stronger for this move, but the best advice that I can give you is to keep putting one foot in front of the other. As you practice your full DEKA event with all the zones back to back, it'll get easier, but Zone 9 and Zone 10 are still gonna suck, and this is where the real mental battle begins. And one of my favorite catchphrases for the tank is that this is where you start questioning your life decisions, and it's so true because this is our make it or break it point. You're either going to be able to push through and find the effort to keep going, or you're gonna give into that fatigue and slow way down. So my advice here is just keep breathing, stay determined, and you'll get through it. And that leads us to our last zone, Zone 10, the Ram Burpee. So for our Burpee Basics, we have males using the 44-pound ram, females using the 22-pound ram, and you have to complete 20 total reps. The rep begins with the push-up, where the chest must touch the ram. The knees can touch down in the plank if you want, and the rep ends with the ram overhead, where you must see daylight between the ram and the top of your head. So let's see how we can improve that burpee. First up, let's look at the efficiency of our movement while we're doing it. If you're new to Zone 10, your burpee might look a little bit like this. First off, you'll step back into that plank, do a full eccentric push-up, and then this big 2-stage pickup with a full ram extension overhead and a 2-stage drop of the ram. And while that's a perfectly legal burpee, it's not the most efficient. So first things first, to make your burpee a little faster, try jumping back into your plank and dropping the chest to the roller right away. Try keeping your toes curled so that you're ready to jump back up really quick. And then just like in that ball over, instead of having a 2-stage pickup, we'll try to rip that ram straight overhead in one fluid motion. As you come overhead, keep the elbows bent to where you just see daylight between the head and the ram. You don't have to extend it all the way up. And just like we went up, bring that ram straight to the floor in one fluid motion. So if you can implement those few things, then your burpee's going to get a lot faster. But here's 2 more bonus tips for you. If you can do your burpees super fast in a full push-up, then that's fantastic. Keep that form. But if you're not quite there yet and that push-up is slowing you down, then take the knees. Hit the knees for that push-up and then work on getting out of that kneeling position as fast as possible. Another way to move super quick is to get those feet outside hip distance. Because the rep finishes overhead with hip extension, getting your feet wider means that the ram won't have to travel as far off the ground, so that's gonna make your burpee faster overall. And last but not least, let's talk some strategy. Basically, this is your last zone, so now it's just pedal to the metal. You can take a few average speed reps to breathe and get the first few reps under your belt, and if it's your first few DEKA run-throughs, then you can keep that pace all the way through the end. But if you've still got some gas in the tank, then try hammering out those last 5 to 10 reps as fast as you can so you can just rip the Band-Aid off. And once you've completed those reps, then you are done with your DEKA Strong or your DEKA Mile. The exception here is that DEKA Fit, where once you finish the last rep overhead, you have to run through the finish gate to officially finish your time. So that is all you need to know about the DEKA Zones and how to strategize for your next race. So let me know how your training's going and if these videos have helped you in your DEKA races. And before you go, there's a couple exciting things in the world of DEKA that are coming up. First off, earlier this week, DEKA announced its brand new DEKA Fit Ultra World Cup. So this event is definitely not for the faint of heart, but if you love a DEKA Fit, then this event's for you. It is 5 DEKA Fits back to back to back to back to back, where you complete a full 25K and a full 50 zones. So if you're up for the challenge, the very first DEKA Fit Ultra is going to come to Fort Wayne, Indiana in July 2024. And second, while I'm a trainer, I'm also an athlete. And me and a few of my friends at my gym got invited to compete at the 2023 DEKA World Championships coming up in Dallas, Texas this year. So stay tuned for a full vlog on my experience at the event and what it's like to be at DEKA World Championships. Other than that, best of luck in your next DEKA event, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay healthy. Bye.